Hello, and welcome to the Rossaround Backstage podcast, talking with artists, technicians, musicians, producers, directors, and all the interesting and talented people that make it all happen for you. Hi, everybody. This is Ross Pallone, and this is the Rossaround Backstage podcast. And I'm here today with my good friend, Jan Mengeling, and he is a guitarist, production manager, guitar tech, and he has worked and been on tour with artists such as Walter Trout, Chris Isaak, Wilco, the Eels, and Jeff Coleman. He's also been in bands The Soul Sign and Coma Star. And Jan is from Mainz, Germany, and he's also worked for two technical companies called Matchless and Demeter. And I recently met Jan on tour with Chris Isaak, and he's the production manager and the guitar tech. And he's doing a great job, and I like him very much, and he's a wonderful guy. So we're going to start out by asking him the typical question that I always have, and that is, Jan, how did you get into this business?
You should ask, how do I get out of this business?
Right.
No, I got into this business, and I think in 94, I worked for Demeter Amplification. And a friend of mine was playing keyboards for Walter Trout, and they needed a guitar tech and help out with guitars and amps and stuff like that. So I became Walter Trout's guitar tech and bass tech, drum tech, keyboard tech.
You did it all, huh?
Yeah. Stage manager, what they call me, stage manager.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun with those guys.
So that was your first tour, and that was after working for Demeter, and then after that tour, then did you go to Matchless then? Or did you keep touring?
I worked for Walter till I think 97, 98, and then I joined Matchless Amplifiers with Mark Sampson back then until I think from 98 to 2000.
And what did you do for Demeter and Matchless? What was your job description there?
For Demeter amps, I was a QC technician and a solder monkey, basically soldering the amps together, making custom stuff for whoever calls in, if it's Malcolm Young or Angus Young or Eddie Van Halen, build custom gear for them to their likings. And, every day.
And same thing with Matchless?
Matchless, same thing, yeah. QC technician.
Uh-huh.
You get the amps from the assembly line, you test them, you make sure everything's wired right. That the amps have power, that the tubes are good, no shorts anywhere, and they look good, they function right, and then you send them back to where they box them up and ship them to the client.
Okay. So now we've kind of jumped ahead into your adult life. So tell me, how did you... Now, you're a guitar player, and I'm sure that you didn't start playing guitar in your 20s. So tell me about how your early life when... you were inspired to become a guitar player and be in bands and all that.
I always wanted to be a piano player, but I think we didn't have the room in the house for a piano, so my dad got me a flute.
A flute?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little cheaper, a little less room, So, So I got a flute. I was playing classical flute for 4 years or 5 years, and then changed after that to guitar. I traded a Rolling Stones album and $25 for an SG. So I got the SG, nothing worked. My brother had to solder it together. And then next thing, I pointed to this Marshall amp on the wall. And I told my mom, hey, Mom, this is what I need. And she was like, okay, let's do it.
Wow. And what age was that?
That was 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who were your guitar heroes then, or what was your favorite bands in those days?
I liked Michael Schenker with UFO. I liked Ace Frehley, David Gilmour. Still love those guys.
Yeah.
And Eddie Van Halen after I saw him in 78.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were your inspiration. And when you were playing flute, you were learning classical.
Yeah.
You weren't really inspired to go into the classical world.
No. That was torture.
Play Brahms and Beethoven and stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of torture for me.
Right. So how did your childhood progress then with the guitar playing in bands and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I kept playing in bands, did some recordings in Germany, and then I went to I did an education as an electrician, electronics. And after that was done, my friends told me, "You're a shitty electrician. Why don't you try to do something with your guitar?" So I applied in Vienna. There was a school for guitar, almost like a GIT. Mm-hmm. So I went down there, and they accepted me. Must have been the cash. And then, I studied there for a year and a half, I think it was. And then after that, I was thinking, if I go back to Germany, I go back to the same old things, So I thought, well, I go to America. Mm-hmm. So my friends, I had 2 friends that went with me, and they stayed for 3 weeks, and then I stayed over in the States and tried to.
And where did you land here in the States? In Los Angeles?
Hollywood, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I told the driver I want to go to Hollywood, and he was like, "You're crazy." I said, "Yes." That's why I'm here.
So when you got to now, how old were you when you came to the States then?
I think I was 25 years old. No, 24, 25, yeah.
Okay, and then is that when you started working for Demeter?
No, I played in cover bands the first 2 years. And I was illegal in the United States, and I had to cross the border to renew my tourist visa every 3 or every 6 months.
Uh-huh.
And then I started working for Demeter in '93.
Okay.
And James was very untrustworthy of me. He didn't trust me, Took him a year to give me a key to the shop.
Oh, yeah?
But he's a good guy.
Okay, so now we've kind of caught up. So Demeter, and then from Demeter, you went out with Walter Trout. You came back from the Walter Trout tour, and then that's when you went to work for Matchless.
Yeah, I was working for Demeter, and then doing the Walter Trout thing on the weekends, or sometimes like a week or 2 weeks off. And James was really cool with that, to just leave.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you don't get paid for that time, but you make money somewhere else.
Right.
And working for Demeter, a lot of artists came in, like Stone Temple Pilots or Alanis Morissette, Nine Inch Nails, Bonnie Raitt. A lot of those people or bands, production managers or tour managers ask you, "Hey, you built the gear for us. Don't you want to go on the road with us? We could use you."
Oh, uh-huh.
But I was like, wow, I don't know, do they make money there? How is the life on the road? Drugs, alcohol. So I was a little scared until my friend Kurt Kasanoff, that works now for Neil Young, he was working with us at Demeter doing the same thing. And he, I think, went to start working them with the Nine Inch Nails and other bands. So that was good. Mm-hmm. So that was inspiring.
Professional world, then, who did you work for next?
I had a few years off, and then I started working for Chris Isaak then in 2012. Kurt Kasanoff called me.
What about Wilco and the Eels?
They were in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Wilco was 2015, and Eels were 2014. I think the summer tour, the 3-month summer tour. Mm-hmm. Was Steve Perry was on there too a few times. He threatened to show up, and he actually showed up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything that you would like to tell us about any of these groups? It was like interesting things that happened on the road, or anything with any of them?
Well, a lot of funny, a lot of good stories. A lot of laughter, a lot of tears. But overall, all the people I worked for have been super great, and it was a pleasure to work for all of them.
Good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. It was very, very positive experience with each guy in the band or crew, and the band itself and management. Very good.
And Jeff Coleman, who's a great guitar player that I know because he's been playing some shows with Alan Parsons, and you've worked with him also as his guitar tech. Yeah.
I did a few shows with him at the small shows at the Baked Potato. He asked me to help him. I help him. He's a good friend, or a great friend. And I love that guy.
And a great guitar player.
Incredible.
Yeah, he's really good.
I think you can hand him a broomstick and 2 balls of Jack, and he's going to make that thing sing.
Now, tell me a little bit about your bands, the Soul Sign and Coma Star. Which one came first?
Coma Star was first. We did an album in 2001 that was released in 2003. And
this is in Germany?
No, that was in the United States,
here.
yeah.
Okay.
That was my good friend Christian Wurr. He was on drums, and it never took off. We signed a worldwide record deal for 4 albums, but it got stuck. So,
how many albums did you end up doing?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. And then we got out of that contract somehow.
And
quite a few dollars later.
Is that record available?
Yeah, you can buy it on.
You can buy it on
I think
iTunes,
Amazon and eBay.
Oh, okay, like a heavy rock.
Heavy rock, like Nirvana meets Foo Fighters meets. It's kind of like melancholic, depressing, heavy.
Okay.
Heavy stuff. Deftones.
And then the other band.
And then was a guitar player for Soul Sign. I played in cover bands the whole time I'm in the United States. And I met this bass player called Björn Englund. He's from Sweden. And we became good friends. And then we did a lot of shows together. A lot of fun. A lot of parties. And then he asked me one day if I wanted to join his original band, Soul Sign. And it's Mark Bowles that sang with Yngwie Malmsteen and Oli Roth. And I think Mike Cancino on drums. He played with Lynch Mob and other heavy bands, House of Broken Promises. And then Björn on bass, who played also for Yngwie and Oli Roth and Dio Disciples and a lot of other good bands.
All right. And now, there was an album with them?
Not yet. We're still working on it.
Okay, so that band still is in existence then?
It's still in existence, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
they released one album before I joined, and we're working currently on a new thing. But everybody in the band is so busy doing all their tours and playing with other artists, so it's hard to sometimes get all 4 guys into one room,
right?
And write or record something,
right? Because you're not getting paid, so
exactly. So we go with the dough.
You got to go where the money is first.
You go with the dough. So
yeah, right. This website or podcast really is mostly geared, not exclusively, but heavily geared towards people who have tech jobs, like production managers and stuff. Was Chris Isaak the first time you had a title with the word management at the end of it?
Yeah. Like in the music industry, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you get hired into the Chris Isaak camp?
Well, Kurt Kasanoff, the guitar tech at that time for Herschel Jadowitz, called me and asked me if I wanted to take over his gig as guitar tech for Chris Isaak, because he was going to do a different artist. And so I said, what does it pay? Are the people cool? Well, what is this about? And he was like, explained everything. And he said, Doug Casper, the tour manager, is going to call you. And from then, Doug Casper called a few days later, talked to me. We negotiated a price. He flew me out to Austin, Texas, to do the first show. Kurt was still there and shadowed me, or I was shadowing him in the first show, and then the second show he was shadowing me. And then, from then on, I was guitar tech for, I think, 2 years. And then one day, Doug Casper approached me and asked me, hey, have you ever thought about being a production manager? I told him, I don't know. I've never done that. I can try. You can always demote me back to guitar tech. And he said, yeah, let's try it. So we negotiated another price.
Now, was that because the previous production manager was leaving?
He didn't leave. He was tied up with another tour.
Oh, I see.
I think.
Uh-huh.
And so there was that job position was available.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And
I was on tour with Wilco, and I was in Denver. We were playing Red Rocks, and I talked to Doug, and he was out with, I think, maybe it was Chicago, Buskags, one of those. And then he said, where are you? And I said, I'm in Denver. I have a day off. And he said, oh, wow, I'm in Denver too. So he was right up the street from me, like 2 blocks away. And so we talked, had a beer.
Now, when you took over the job as production manager, you were really also stage manager too then, correct?
Yeah, I took over everything there.
You had your hands full.
Because there was no stage manager. So it fell onto me to take care of the load in and load out and where do the cases go and all that stuff, where's the placement and all that. Is there a fire curtain or how far do the curtains go back, and is there a truss up there, all that stuff.
Right.
So I had to learn all that stuff really fast. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, that's what happens. We kind of get thrown into things that we're not always know about. And the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Christopher Cross says, "Oh, by the way, now you're the tour manager, and production manager and everything." And all of a sudden, we're going, "Well, wait a minute, I don't know how to do that," So, but it seems to work its way out. We do what we have to do, right?
Yeah.
But then recently, on this last year, when I joined up and started working with Chris Isaak, then they took a little of that heat off of you by promoting Scott Taylor to the stage manager. That gave you a little bit of a breathing room.
Yeah, that took quite a bit of workload away from me, and that's good. And it's good for Scott.
Yeah,
I think he's perfect for that.
I think he likes it a lot.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah, because it's a pretty big setup. It's a six-piece band. We carry everything in the trucks.
Yeah.
So you got to be good with making sure everything gets off the truck, gets packed up right at the end of the night. There's a lot to deal with there.
Yeah.
And it's a big crew too.
It's 9 people in the crew.
9 people in the crew.
Plus drivers.
Big crew. Actually, is it more with the bus drivers? Is the bus driver than 10?
Yeah, bus driver. 9 in the crew. And
9 in the crew, and then plus a bus driver
and a truck driver.
2 bus drivers and a truck driver. Yeah, it's a lot of people too. And you're in charge of all that.
I try to do all the parking instructions for the venues, so when the bus pulls up, they know exactly where to go, which way they need to face, south, east, northwest, or if the meters are backed, if there's a dock, or if they have to park, then after load-in, they park at whatever parking structure somewhere down at a stadium or a parking lot in the middle of the city, and what time is callback time, and then what time is callback time for the crew or the local crew, and a lot of little details.
A lot of little details that you have to think about, and it's not always where you can just have like a checklist in your pocket. You have to really just have this stuff all in your head, don't you?
Yeah. It's like fires break out left and right, and you got to extinguish them as you go, Oh, there's another fire. Hey.
Yeah, it's not easy. It takes a certain personality to be able to deal with that stuff under pressure, because at the same time, you don't have an endless supply of time. You have to have the show ready at a certain time. You tell the band, hey, we're going to do sound check at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. We have to make sure that we're all ready, and that all falls on you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and you've done a great job. I can vouch for you, because I've been there, and you've made my job really easy.
Well, thank you.
All I have to do is worry about mixing the show, and I don't have to worry about any of that other stuff, which is good for me. I like that. So thanks for doing all that. I appreciate it, because I know what it's like.
You do the same thing when you go out with your bands.
With other bands, yeah. So you never actually wanted or envisioned yourself in those kind of positions, right? Or did you?
No.
It just kind of happens. Yeah. Isn't that kind of the way it is in this business, that you don't always know what direction you're going to go?
Yeah. You think when you grow up, I'm going to be in this direction, and this is how my life is going to be, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get knocked out of that line or lane, and then you're all of a sudden in a different lane. And you're going you're sitting in a different car at a different speed, going in a whole different direction,
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just had a really good conversation yesterday during an interview that I did, and we talked about that, about how there's always forks in the road. And you have to decide on when the forks appear before you, you have to go, well, am I going to take the fork to the left, or am I going to take the fork to the right? And that could be a million different things. It could be, you could be working for somebody, and then you get an offer to work for somebody else. And now you have to weigh these things like, well, this other band is going to pay me more, but I don't know how much work it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it might be more work, and it might be more money, but I don't know. So then you have to make this decision, well, do I stay the safe path, or do I take a chance and go this other way? And so that's kind of the way it is in this business, isn't it? You don't always know where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And
well, you weigh it out with, of course, the money factor. You know, oh, they pay me this much more money than this band, but then you have to think, how long are these guys going out? The other guys have been really good to me. They treat me well. You know, I know my job. They know me. I'm valuable to them. They're valuable to me. You have to weigh all that out.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Before you just jump into the next thing and they promise you, hey, you can make $500-600 more a week or a month. And you go, hey, yeah, let's do this. You have to sit back and weigh it out, think about it, you know. Plus you have some kind of responsibility towards the band you're working for because they count on you.
Yeah, you don't want to just leave them hanging.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can, but
good.
You're not going to work.
Yeah, people hear about those kinds of things. Yeah, that guy, he left us in a lurch, and he didn't give us any time to hire somebody else, and really caused us a lot of problems. So you don't want to do that to people either, right?
Yeah, because I think the bad news in that kind of business, everybody knows each other. It travels really fast, and everybody knows then about that guy that, oh yeah, he left that band. Right. In the middle of a tour or right before they wanted to go out and left them hanging and they were scrambling to find a replacement.
When you started your original bands and you were recording records, when was that? What year was that? Like
with the original bands?
Yeah, the original band. The original band that you actually did do a record with.
I think I started doing original bands right when I came to the United States, as well as playing in cover bands. We did albums recorded, but nothing was ever released, or you can't buy it anywhere. It was like demos.
Yeah.
Some CDs, but...
And what year was that?
I came to the United States in 91.
91. Okay, yeah. So you were still in that mode of trying to become a rock star in a band. The record business was still viable. It was still good.
Yeah.
They were signing bands. They were giving budgets and all that. And so, as you know, around the year 2000, that's when things started to kind of fall apart. 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
It's when things started to kind of fall apart in the recording business, and record budgets went down to nothing, and they weren't signing bands and all that stuff. So you did actually have a little bit of a shot before that happened, but just didn't.
A lot of times we were sitting at the table and there was discussion about, hey, you guys want to sign this? Are you all agreeing? And then there was always one guy that said, well, I got to take care of my mom, or my dog's sick, or I can't do it, and that's really not what I wanted, and it's too much for me. So there was always something that
but not for
that
you.
Fell apart.
You wanted to go gung ho though, right?
Oh yeah, I was ready to go.
You wanted to do that. So why not just replace those guys?
Well, sometimes they were the main guy,
The singer or the songwriter.
Exactly, the singer. Yeah. Mostly the singers. And for me, the singer is the band. He sets the tone of how the band sounds like. You can play your ass off on the guitar. If either your drummer is out of time or your singer is out of key or doesn't have the right voice, the band's not going to go. No,
it's not. Yeah.
So,
but the band that you have now, you guys are. What kind of approach do you think you're going to take? You are going to try to finish a record in the next year or so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're working on it.
Nowadays, it's a lot different. So it's not like record companies are going to come begging to you to sign a contract and pay for a tour for you to go out on the road. What do you think the direction will be? How will you guys handle that?
I don't know. I have
just get the record done first, right?
Yeah, get the record done. I will work on another project with my old drummer Christian and we got some killer material that's also almost ready to roll.
So it's just the two of you?
Yeah, it's just the two of us. We're writing songs together, and we got about 20 songs.
Oh wow, that's a lot
recorded.
You have them recorded already?
Yeah.
The whole thing, all done?
We're getting them mixed as we speak.
Oh, good.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Brian Kahanik. He does some mixing on them. Incredible.
Great.
So we got some stuff coming out pretty soon.
You think that you'll put out a full CD, like 10, 12 songs, or you think you'll maybe put out like an EP kind of thing?
Maybe a few feelers. Maybe just put a few feeler songs out and see.
Well, I know, some producers think that that's the way to do it now, actually, is that because people don't necessarily buy an album anyway, like a whole CD. Yeah. Or, I say CD, but really mostly what we're talking about is downloads. You record a project, I guess you could call it. It's not an album anymore. It's not a CD. It's a project, and it's all on iTunes or the download places. Some people's thoughts are better to just maybe put out 3 songs and see how that goes. And then if it's successful, then you put out some more. Yeah. And kind of doesn't matter until you reach a certain level of popularity that you have like a whole album of songs. So I don't know. It's different people's opinion about how to handle that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe 1 song, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe a whole album. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of songs. If you've got that many songs, and you could most certainly put out like a 10-song.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Christian and I get together and we jam, it flows. Uh-huh. It's very easy. We don't put any pressure on anything. Oh, we got to sound like this, or we have to play like that. We just plug in. He plays, and
who sings?
That's the big question. We don't.
But you're recording. You said you're recording stuff.
Yeah, we're recording bass. We're recording drums. We record all the guitars. Some have a little bit of piano in them. Some might have cello in them, or whatever. So it depends on the song. We play the way we are. There's no big. We want to be like this, or we have to sound like that. We just play. Mm-hmm. Done. And what you hear then is us. It's very honest, very personal, and very direct.
Mm-hmm. Your drummer, he has a place to record?
Yeah.
He has a studio?
Yeah, he lives in Germany now.
Uh-huh.
And if he needs to record something, he has options there. Or he comes over here and we have a friend where we can record all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think about being a guitar tech. Tell me about what does, if somebody wanted to be a guitar tech and they're not in the business at this point, and they or any kind of a backline technician, tell me, what do they need to know, and how would they go about getting that job?
Yeah, personality is a big factor. You got to get along with people. You have to be a team player. You should know the gear. You should know a little bit about, if you want to be guitar tech, about guitar amps, various pedal boards, the order, how people use them. You should know about wireless systems. So you should educate yourself a little bit about that. They have great videos on YouTube where they do like rig rundowns, and they go through the rigs and see what people use on stage, like Nels Cline or the guys from Green Day or Angus Young. And you get an idea how they create their tones or their sounds, and you get an idea how everything's put together. If they need like boosters when they use wireless systems, or what do they use? How do they switch channels from clean to lead? And
because all these guitar players, they all have different rigs, don't they?
Yeah, it's all different.
One guy will have something real simple, and other guys will have super complicated setups, right?
Yeah, and sometimes I know guitar techs where the guitar player doesn't do the switching, so you have to learn all the cues where the guitar player's out on a runway, and you switch from clean to lead, and you got to do it at the right moment, at the right time, Mm-hmm. So it's timed right.
Right, so you got to be kind of musically adept too. You got to know how to count and what the difference between a chorus and a verse is. And
there's some bands that require you to know the songs, playing them on guitar, just in case the guitar player can't do it, or he misses something or something like that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You taught me something new.
Yeah, I just learned about that too. I did not know that either.
Well, I've always known that a lot of bands have a player behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Somebody playing guitar or playing keyboards or singing back behind a curtain somewhere, and they're never seen on stage.
Yeah.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
Kind of like playback is, where you're playing back background vocals or other guitar parts or whatever, percussion stuff or something like that. So that it's similar to that in that it is parts that people aren't actually being seen playing, but it's happening.
Yeah. And
filling out the sound.
Yeah, some bands have their techs come out and play. Like I saw Bonnie Raitt in Australia, and they had their guitar tech come out and then strum the acoustic for a song or two. And then I think Social Distortion does the same thing with the guitar tech on one side of the stage, just comes out, plays a few songs on the acoustic, features him. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, I actually just interviewed Tyson Leonard, who is our sometimes stage manager for the Alan Parsons, and he's a violinist.
Okay.
And when Alan found out that he played violin, he comes out on certain songs and plays a violin solo.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah, but then he goes back and hands a guy a guitar player, hands the guitar player a guitar or something. Does the tech job. So yeah. So that's interesting, and I'm sure that the guys that when they get to come out on stage, it's pretty fun for them.
Yeah,
come out.
I worked for bands where the techs were incredible musicians, like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. A lot of drum techs are like that. They're good drummers.
Yeah.
And they can actually play. And guitar techs. 'Cause I think a lot of guys that are guitar techs are guitar players. Most of them really are, because that's how they learned about the guitar, because maybe they pulled apart their own guitars and fixed them and did a lot of stuff with their guitars. But they don't actually have to be like a luthier quality. Somebody that can actually, build a guitar or repair major repairs on a guitar.
Yeah.
But the small stuff.
When something like that happens, major repairs, we usually send them out. We have like 2 or 3 cardboard boxes that fits a guitar case. So if the neck breaks or it needs a refret in the middle of a tour or something we can't do, then we send them to a guitar repair place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's close or a known one that we use.
And how do you feel about being production manager? You've told me off mic that you do enjoy doing that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a great mentor, Doug Casper.
Uh-huh.
I think he is very patient with me. So he shows me all the ropes, if he wants it or not. He shows me a lot of little inside stuff, and it's great. I ask a lot of questions. I know when he doesn't answer them, then it means I have to figure that out by myself. I'm old enough to ask myself, hey, how can I do this? So it's a lot of problem solving, a lot of problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have to be ahead of the game.
Right. You have to be thinking not only about what's happening now, but what's going to happen in an hour.
Yeah.
What's going to happen 4 hours from now, and what's going to happen tomorrow.
Like, let's say, when you load in, before you load in, you have to think about the loadout.
Yeah.
Where do I park my cases, or where do we park our cases, so we can get them out in the order that they need to come in? Every gig is different. Let's say you do theaters. Sometimes you have to load the cases in, undo your gear, and then the cases have to go back on the truck.
Because there's no place to put them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So you have to think about all that stuff. Then you have to put them in the truck in a certain order, the way they need to come back out, so you can box them up and send them back out. So there's you have to always think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you can get trapped really fast, and it can cost quite a lot of time if you mess up in certain departments like that.
Now, I know that you have the same philosophy that I do, is that you walk into the gig and the first thing you want to do is make friends with everybody, right?
No.
at the venue?
Where's catering?
Where's catering? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so after the catering, you want to be nice to the people that are there, because they can make or break your day, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
They can make your day easy or hard.
Even if they say it's your house, it's still. I always look at it as their house, and I'm a guest. We're invited to play on their turf. Even we are the ones that bringing in the fans or bringing in the money or the. Yeah, you want to be on you're on their turf, and you want to treat them with respect. You always should treat people with respect. You should treat them the way you want to be treated, and yeah, they want to be on your side because you need something from them, or they need something from you. You don't want that awkward feeling of should I ask them real quick, but I had a falling out with him earlier, and now I have to ask him for an easy up or a table or 2 chairs or
anything. Yeah,
you can't do that.
Sandbag or something. Yeah.
Oh, do you have an extra stand? Ours broke.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you want to keep it as peaceful and as joyful and relaxed as possible.
Well, from what I've observed from you working with you is that you do have that kind of personality. You're real easy to get along with. You're soft spoken. You always walk into the gig and you treat people with respect, and everything always goes smooth.
Yeah.
From what I see every day, when we leave, everybody's happy. The local guys are happy and welcoming us back, and I think that's a really important part of being a production manager. I've worked under production managers. They walk in and the very first thing they do is they start grumping about everything, and that usually makes a bad day.
Yeah,
it's not good. So
you have to understand that they're also. The venue is depending on outside vendors coming in. Sometimes the catering company is not on time. So when you walk in at 9 a.m. and you demand, hey, where's my breakfast? And it's not there. It's not their fault. It's, it could be a traffic jam. Somebody might have had an accident or a family emergency. So you got to be relaxed and just let them explain why this is not there. And then you make a decision. You don't assume or jump to conclusions instantly. And then you have to improvise. Hey, there's no breakfast. Here's our card. Or, hey, would you mind sending the runner out to get some breakfast, burritos, or, hey, get some donuts real quick, and some coffees. And you make a list of everyone, what they want. And then you solve those problems. I think you're more like a problem solver.
Yeah, right. But it's how you solve those problems and how you deal with people that make the day successful or make the day painful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's good advice. You can't have people that are real, what do I say, like they're very tense. You don't want to have a tense production manager. That's always ready to fly off the handle if something goes wrong. And they need to be able to handle problems.
Yeah.
In a calm way. Because
there's nothing else you can do.
It's not going to do any good to get all upset and yell at people, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to make anything go faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can yell at the guy. I've worked with people that yell or scream at the other person, and it's not going to change anything. It's not going to get done faster, like you said.
Right.
So staying calm, peaceful. We're not there to reinvent anything or do something that can't be done. We do this. Everybody knows what they're doing, or they're supposed to know what they're doing, and then go from there.
So tell me a little bit more about your childhood and playing guitar as a young boy, actually, or a young teenager. What was it like in Germany? Were there gigs? Was it easy? Hard to get gigs? You play like clubs, local.
Yeah,
parties,
you play local parties, the school, local clubs. That's it. For me, I wanted a little more.
Right.
I didn't know how much more. I did not know how much more is out there. So
now I've been in Germany quite a bit. Heavy metal is a big thing in Germany, isn't it?
Yeah. Still.
It's a very. It seems like all the guys that I know and that I've made friends with on Facebook that are German techs. Every time I see them posting stuff on Facebook, they're at a heavy metal concert.
Yeah, they're very
almost
dedicated
always
people.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
It's really big.
For years. Yeah, decades now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why do you suppose that is? Why is it? Do you have an answer for that, or is that just happened that way?
I think it happened that way. I think, metal is just it's been big since the 80s, and it has never left.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm just glad music is popular over there.
Yeah.
Because I get to work over there quite a bit, and it's always great. The techs in Germany are really wonderful. They're very hardworking. Their equipment is always top notch.
Yeah.
And they always know what they're doing. It's always been a pleasure.
Well, you don't understand them because they speak a different language, so.
You know what?
They tell you, yes.
99% of them, they all speak English.
Yes.
Yeah. Us Americans, we kind of got it made because we go over there and they all speak English. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I like it there.
Now, your parents still live in Mainz?
Yeah.
Mainz.
Yeah.
And you go back and visit?
Yeah, I was there 3 times this year already. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Visiting the mom.
Are you planning on staying in the United States now?
Yeah, I love it here.
Mm-hmm.
I love the people. I think the people here are some of the hardest working, very dedicated people I've ever met. Incredible.
Well, thanks.
Because in Europe, you have the social net that, if you don't work, you get unemployment, or you get this and you get that. It's all good. It helps them. But you don't have these benefits here, or certain people, or a lot of people don't have these. The health insurance and free education, or education that is a little lower on cost. So here, I think the people strive and work a lot harder for these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's my observation.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with some very amazing people that are just amazing. How hard they work.
Yeah.
And never get a day of vacation. And they don't know that in Germany you get 6 weeks of paid vacation.
Wow.
And they never had a week of vacation in the last 10 years, and they work.
Is it that there's not as many independent contractors in Germany? Most people work for a company of some sort?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that.
So even if you're an independent contractor, you don't have a job at a company, you still get these benefits of it?
No, I think when you're independent, it's a little different. I think you're on your own schedule then,
mm-hmm.
with vacation time, and I think it's like here then, where you have to take care of your own
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stuff. I don't know that much about that.
Yeah. Okay. It's all right. Yeah. You're pretty American now.
Yeah. I think my friends tell me to. Yeah, you're a Yankee.
Yeah, you're pretty American. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I love it. I've traveled. I love sitting in the bus in the front and then traveling through the United States and seeing the different states and different nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Every time.
Well, Germany's a beautiful country too, and a lot of beautiful countryside and stuff. I've enjoyed seeing Germany. But I guess just this, even though Germany is what you would call a big country, the United States is really big.
Very big, yeah.
It's huge.
It's massive,
and it's very different from area to area. Like the Northeast is very different from the South.
Yeah,
and very different from California, and there's all these. The geography is different. People are different. The culture is different in these different areas of the United States. Where in Germany, it's probably a little bit more the same all over Germany.
Well, we got the Alps in the south, and the flatland in the north.
Geography-wise,
the
geography is definitely
the people
varied there.
Yeah.
Unlike where we just were when we were when we were in the Netherlands. Well, we were only there for a day, but then for a couple of days. But then I went back and I was there for over a week.
Oh yeah,
and that's a weird country. I mean, not in a bad way. It's just completely flat. There's no mountains anywhere.
Yeah.
It's completely flat. But,
my brother took me on a skiing trip one year, and he said, "We're going to Holland." I was like, "Holland?" It was like an indoor ski arena where we went, in Landgraf.
Oh, okay.
It's like past the German Netherlands border. I was like, "Wow, where do you ski in Holland?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like going surfing in Germany somewhere. Like, where would you do that?
Yeah.
So it's good. I love Holland. It was great.
It's nice.
I was there with the Eels, and we were there in 2014 doing the World Cup, and the promoter rep in Amsterdam gave everybody the national soccer shirt of the Netherlands with our names on the back.
Oh, nice.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very sweet people.
Yeah. All right. Is there any guitar players or bands or anything that you would like to, you would, if you got a call from them, that you would go, wow, this is great. I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I would love to work for Angus Young.
Yeah.
But I think they're done.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. Malcolm is dead.
Yeah.
I think Brian Johnson is out of the band. I don't know.
I guess I was pretty lucky. I did get to see them once.
Yeah?
Yeah. They were pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. They were really good.
I had the honor one time to build some amps for Malcolm and Angus. And Angus's guitar tech back then, Alan Rogan, he came into Demeter, and I think they were with him. And then I had to deliver all that stuff to Ocean Way Recordings. And they were all sitting there. And I was like, wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin was in there. I think they were doing the Ballbreaker album. And
did you get to meet the guys?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
nice.
pretty awesome. Very sweet people. And Alan Rogan showed me all. I needed to see each SG, and he handed it to me and let me touch it. And it was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, of course.
Like, wow, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this Marshall. Oh, wow. Look at that one. Wow.
They probably had everything, right?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, it was an amazing day. Very cool.
That's neat.
Yeah.
It's great when you get to meet people that they're kind of your heroes,
Yeah.
And that happens in this business sometimes. You get to meet somebody, you really, I think, are special, and it's fun.
I had another good experience with a guy called Elliot Easton.
Yeah.
He was with the Cars, and he had a custom pedal made at Demeter, and I built it for him. And he went home, he used it, and he wanted it a little different. So we drove out to his house in the San Fernando Valley. He invited us over. So I drove out there with my solder station and tools and modified the pedal. And he saw that I was left-handed, and he's a lefty. And he showed me his massive guitar collection. And
all left-handed guitars?
Let me play all these one-off guitars. It was quite amazing.
Yeah.
What a cool dude.
That's something that people don't think of is a guitar. It's got to be a left-handed guitar. You can't.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can just switch back and forth.
Yeah. I used to tease Walter Trout sometimes when he looked at me when I was putting strings on, and he was looking at me like, "Are you putting that one the right way or the left way?" And then I hand him the guitar before the show, and it's like, I tell him, "Oh, I put him accidentally. I put him on left-handed." And it's like 10 seconds before showtime, and he was like, "Ah."
Yeah, well, Jimi Hendrix was left-handed, right?
Yes, he was.
So,
yeah, Paul
can't
McCartney.
go wrong there.
Yeah,
and Paul McCartney too, huh?
Yeah. There's quite a few lefties out there.
Now, when you go to buy a guitar, you go into say like a Guitar Center. Do they have left-handed guitars there, or do you have to order them special?
Yeah, mostly if it's a new production line and you want a lefty, you probably have to order it from whoever makes them. Mm-hmm. And if you want some vintage stuff, you have to look online and find them.
Yeah.
Find like a 50s or 60s, even 70s now, Fender Strat.
Like a vintage left-handed guitar, with, if all things being equal, with a left-handed guitar and a right-handed guitar, would the left-handed guitar be more valuable?
It depends on what you're willing to pay. or how much the guy is willing to pay. You know, if you have a, let's say, a 1959 Les Paul, left-handed, that's supposed to be worth $350,000 to $500,000, but you don't have a buyer, you have a guitar that's worth nothing. But it's
that's the true with everything. In life. You know, it's only worth what
somebody's willing to pay.
You might think that something's worth $100,000, but if nobody's buying it, then it's not worth anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So that's the vintage market. That it depends, you know, on what is everybody willing to pay for that kind of stuff.
All right. So, like me and probably most of the people that I've interviewed, you do get questions sometimes from people that'll say, "Hey, me." It could be about themselves, or maybe their cousin or their son or daughter, and they want to get into this business. What do you tell them?
What do I tell them? I would tell them, you know, what is it that you want out of this? You know, what do you want to do in this business? Do you want to be in management? Do you want to be a backline tech? Do you want to be a driver? What do you want to be? You know, and then whatever you want to be, research that a little bit, and then find out if that's really what you want to be. You talk to people that are in this business. And I think that's great what you're doing, so people get an idea when you interview people about this, to what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people probably think, a lot of chicks and a lot of drugs, you know, that's all they do, and then they go on the bus and party like crazy. It's nothing like that. I have worked for the wrong bands, or the right bands, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want to do there?
Because it's not easy, is it? It's not an easy business.
No, it's competitive, but then it's not. You know, once you establish yourself in the circle of people there, it's actually a small group. Most of the people know each other.
A lot of people do, yeah.
Yeah. Or you meet somebody that knows that person, or they talk about, hey, do you know this guy? Oh, yeah, sure, I toured with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or have you used that truck driver? Oh, yeah, he's awesome. You know, I know this guy. And, this guy drove me on the last tour with whoever. So, yeah.
So I would think you would say go into it cautiously, though, right?
Cautiously. You can always get out.
Yeah, until it's too late.
Until they offer you more money.
Well, the thing is that if you're in this business for, say, 20 years, in the professional business, and now you're, say, 45 years old, and all your skills that you've learned are this. It's not easy. It's not easy for you to now just go and all of a sudden now you're going to want to be a politician or a CPA or a lawyer or something. It's not that it's too late, but it makes it more difficult. The longer that you've stayed in this business, now you've kind of committed, right?
Yeah.
So,
and you make yourself unavailable for other job positions in I call it the outside world, you know, for a CPA or whatever. You know, the longer you stay in that music business or in the world of traveling tech.
Yeah. How do you like traveling?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love it. I love every day I'm out there. As much as I love being home, I love being out there. And it makes coming home very pleasant, you know.
Yeah.
I love the days when I come home, sit on the couch, look at my roommates, like, man, it's cool. Life is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out and you see your road brothers and sisters, and then same thing. You say, man, life is pretty good, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, then you
should get out.
You shouldn't be doing it.
If you're miserable and you're complaining about others, or you're just miserable,
and you make everybody else miserable.
Get out. Yeah.
Yeah. You should be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't make it about yourself. Get out of it. And
Right.
somebody told me one time, if you make this gig about yourself and not about who you're working for, get out. This is not about you. You have to be a team player. You live with sometimes 11 others in a small, confined space. You have to get along. If you're not willing to do that, then, and you're all about yourself, then it's no place for you.
Right. Good advice.
Yeah, you have to share. You have to care about other people. You can't put them down because they have something, psychological or whatever different with them. So you have to learn accepting others.
Yeah, and sometimes we have to help each other.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to.
Sometimes if somebody's sick or something happens.
Yeah, if you stand there on the sideline with your arms crossed or pointing out, hey, I would never do it like this, shut up, jump in, help.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, hey, can I help you? Or, hey, I would do it like this. That's how we do it.
Yeah. It's fun, but it has its challenges and it has its downsides also. But I think people like you and I who really do love being on the road, we've learned that and we accept it, and that's just the way it is.
Long days, short nights.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I like the long days. Yeah. I'm fine with it.
But you get to see the world. You get to travel. All the bands I worked for treat you very respectful. And, I can't complain. There's always catering. We get so many meals.
Yeah.
A day. There's always,
sometimes too much, huh?
Yeah, sometimes too much food. Sometimes I think it's all about the food, not the music. So...
Well... with the old saying is that, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the way to a crew's heart and to keep a crew happy is to make sure that they're fed.
Yeah. For example, Chris Isaak, he asked how we're doing. He in the beginning, he asked me how the food is and stuff, if everything's good. And he cares about how we eat, how we travel, that we're healthy. I was sick on the last tour. I had a sinus infection. And he said, you know what? Hey, take the day off. Just lay on the bus, relax, get healthy, Your health is the most important thing. And
that's smart advice, yeah. Because, maybe if you push yourself too hard, maybe you'll be out for longer, right?
Yeah. So that's very cool. Same with every band I work for. They're all very, very good people.
It's nice. That's great. Yeah, I think most artists are pretty good.
Yeah.
And most camps are pretty good, but I do know that there are some that are not.
Yeah.
They're not fun to be involved with, but maybe the money's good and that's why people stay or they have nothing else, nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
You pick your own battles,
Yeah.
You can always leave. You're in charge of your own choices. So if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But don't make anybody else's life miserable because you're miserable in the position you're in. So that's how I look at it.
All right. Well, Jan, you've got many words of wisdom. And it's been a real pleasure meeting you this year and getting to work with you. I've enjoyed it very much. I think you're a great production manager, and I'm sure that you must be a great guitar tech or you wouldn't still have the job. That's out of my realm, so I don't know. But I most certainly see what you do as a production manager. And
you hear it out
really
there
good.
if everything's out of tune.
Well, yeah.
Play with another guitar player.
That's right.
Don't yank on the neck so hard. No, it's all good. Yeah, it's good. I like what I'm doing. It's hard work. And likewise, right back at you with working with a great person. It's good.
Well, thanks, John.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
All right.
Everything's very mellow, very calm.
That's why I like it.
At Team Isaak.
Like I told you before, I said, well, everything's very quiet on stage.
Yeah.
During the day when I'm out at the front of house console getting ready and you guys are working up on stage. And when I see that it's quiet on stage, I think that that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that means nobody's yelling at each other.
No, we have a good time. Everybody likes each other. We have Dave Pallet on the monitor rig. We got John Bunker on stage right doing the bass and the key world. And we got Phil We got Scott on our A1. He wires the stage, all the microphones, make sure everything's wired right and looks good and looks clean and everything is safe.
Yeah, because, and it always is.
Yeah, he tapes down everything. He worries about the floor mats or yellow jackets and all that stuff where the wires run in, and it's very good. Everybody knows exactly what they need to do and what they need to know. Yeah, great.
So when everybody knows what they're doing, you really don't have to really do that much management, do you? You just
it runs.
You come in and everybody just does what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and the band comes in, and I think they feed off our energy, and they're in a good mood. They know everything is working. Every day they come in, and it's money. It's on, and we don't want them to stress because they should only focus or worry about what they need to do on stage. If they start worrying about, oh, my keyboard rig is not functioning, or the wireless system is screwed up, or why is my guitar neck crooked, or why is this mic stand not working, then it throws them out of their lane.
Yeah.
So, and then it could affect the performance.
That goes back to what you said before about it's not about you.
Exactly.
It's about the band.
Exactly.
The artist.
Mainly. Because they're the ones selling the shows, bringing the people in, making us work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you screw that up with not doing this right, your job right, then you're affecting the performance, which the audience will go, oh, they look like a bunch of bozos out there, up there with guitars out of tune, or lights not working right, or sounds like ass, or what's up with the drums? They're weird sounding, or the out of tune, everything's kind of funky. So, yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because when you're touring with bands, especially a band like Chris Isaak, he plays the same venues over and over again, year after year, right? Or every other year or something. Yeah. So if the promoter and the audience in that area is happy, then that means that we get to go back. Yeah. And that means that you're employed again.
Yeah. Same with
all about.
When I worked for Wilco, the Eels, it's the same thing, it's... I never heard of these bands before, but then you start working for them, and it's like, wow,
they have a following.
It's
loyal
amazing,
following.
And you gotta deliver as a tech. You make sure that the guitars are in tune, or the pedal steels and the bass and the switching and everything is functioning. When they come on stage and they play at the Royal Albert Hall or the Forum or whatever, that stuff has gotta be in working order.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so before you get into the business, you should maybe know a little bit about
you better.
Technical stuff.
You won't last long if you don't, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was being called out a few times on stage, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, sometimes mistakes help you learn better, don't they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jan, it's been a great pleasure having you come over to my house and sit here and talk to me and participate in the podcast. And I thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. Hope to see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, man. You take care now. Bye-bye. The Rossaround Backstage Podcast wants to thank my good friend, Tim Heinz, for the original music that you are listening to now. We are currently looking for sponsors for the Rossaround Backstage Podcast so that we can continue to bring you interesting stories like the one you just heard. I can be reached through Facebook or email me at rosspallone.com. Thank you for listening.